It was like my mom who told me, I'm like, really?
It's like,
So I had to Google it.
yeah, it's like in the past, like 5 first ladies are standing next to like the courtroom, the Biden.
It's crazy. It's all
I
crazy.
mean, it probably won't be long until he's gone.
Yeah,
So,
it's really not.
Well, usually they, like if you're talking about married couples, it's like a 6-month window. When they've been together a long time, usually it's been 6 months, the other one dies. It's neat, like, what was there was something that just popped in my family. What wasn't Israel's wasn't show, I mean, something else.
Is that happening in Ghana? I don't remember.
No, I know what it was. It wasn't gone. It was Devlin. You not heard about that one, have you?
Maybe, no, I have, there's a bunch of stuff going on in Ireland with
There you go.
immigration and them not being able, I mean, they don't have the infrastructure and also a bunch of that.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, so Europe is a bit of a mess.
Been happening for a little bit.
Yeah. It's the immigration thing, it's a lot of people and in terms of scale, it's unbelievable scale just all across the world. But there, I mean, here, I think we talked about in terms of Texas flipping to Hispanic, right? Hispanic majority. Phone call. I should answer that, but no. Stop. It needs her. I don't need her to hear me talking about it. This is recording. She hears me talking about her anyway. Love you, honey. I'm saying it because she will listen to this later. She watches everything I do. That's wise of her. Let's see. What was I going to say? Dublin. So Europe has been having immigration issues, sort of like what we've been having, but different scale, different places in the world, and so much so that its demographics started to shift. As that happens, society shifts. They had a couple of kids who were stabbed, I think, is what happened. And what it is it's all of the messaging that everyone's been receiving in the past 30 years about tolerance. So you got about 30 years of pushback for that, all the changes they've seen, all the things that they've seen to help people in need exclusively benefit not themselves, kind of thing. And so you see a lot of the same stuff here in this country. You have really good example. COVID. We had COVID, the vaccine. Who gets them first? Where do they go first? And do we put an order on that? I mean, we do that with a lot of vaccines right now. Like I said, I think RSV. Yeah. Depending on where you're at in the country, what kind of needs you're dealing with, they'll actually take vaccines and they'll reserve them out for populations that are at danger for us. It's like, that's good, but what happens if you're not in that population that's at danger with it and you still need it, right? So you got issues like that going on underneath of all the other issues. Then you have something serious, like a stabbing of a child that's gonna galvanize a people. That could go really with that. That's what's been. You'll see some news on it, but they won't tell you about how bad the riots are. That'd be like if I said yellow jacket riots. You guys ever heard of those? Like every year for like the last 3 years running in particularly like France, riots, summer long, right? You don't hear about it. It's controlled. All right, so here's where we need to get into stuff for today. It is now officially 11 o'clock. I'm gonna say share screen because there's some stuff I need to show to you here. Not necessarily in this class. I think I've gone through and graded everything I need to grade. If I have anything out there, make sure that you've done assignment 1, quizzes 1 through 7, exam 1, and we'll work on opening this up here in a little bit once we do a review. But first, there's something I want to talk to you all about, and that is not this one. Hold on a second. It's going to be sent to me from me. Death penalty. There we go. Yeah, I'm going to show you some stuff. So last time I started out class and I didn't actually get into it. Like, I'm going to show you some things that are kind of bloody. You won't like it. You will like it. If any of it bothers you, like. Like this one of those times, it's like, yeah, this one's gonna be a little bit graphic, not super graphic, but enough to where it will bother some people. It should probably bother everybody. We'll talk a little about sentencing, a little bit about the death penalty, and then we'll roll off into review. So. That. Download. Sentencing. I'll grab that one. See what it says. Okay. So. Determinate versus indeterminate sentencing has to do with judicial discretion, and you should already be familiar with that. I'm not gonna spend a whole lot of time on that. In indeterminate sentencing, you have a whole lot more discretion. Determinate, you do not. It's pretty locked down. Depending on what specifically they have set up, you could have a wide range of options there, or you could be locked into very, very specific. A good example of how specific you can get, probably the clearest example of that would be that capital murder example I gave you maybe a couple classes ago, where it's you only have two options if you find someone guilty. It's they get life and they never come out, or they get death. That's how restricted it could be, right? Or it might be as open as what you see in a lot of the statutes where it'll say, okay, you can't be punished more, your sentence in terms of imprisonment can be up to 1 year, which means it may be 0, or it can be between 2 to 5 years. And then a list of other things that you might have aggravating, mitigating circumstances. We've already talked about that kind of stuff, so I'm not going to go back into that. Sentencing models, that's what they're talking about there. Presumptive sentencing, I need to talk to you probably a little bit about that in terms of, let's put there, occurs when legislature specifies normal sentence for each crime, and the judges are permitted to deviate only under specific types of circumstances. And you have to have it writing for both. So that's where you start getting into the really, really sticky stuff of who finds what facts. I may have mentioned that before. That's why the judge does law, jury does facts. Anything's factually found, that needs to be the jury that finds that. It's the judge that says, well, this here is an aggravating circumstance, and because of that, we're going to increase your sentence. Yeah, no, the jury didn't find that that was an aggravating circumstance. That's a bit of a different situation. You do that, you got a violation, right? It's a bench hearing though, then it wouldn't really matter. Okay, 3 models here: judicial, legislative, administrative. So judicial, indeterminate sentence. Legislative, it's in the code. We got that. Administrative, this was prominent when rehabilitation was there. Basically, what it was is you started letting the people who were administrators run it rather than putting it legislative, judicial. What can we take? Who can we take? Where can we take them? How do we help? That kind of thing. That's really hard to do. Here's where it talks about determinate, indeterminate. You guys know what good time is? Yes. Okay. See a couple people who did shake heads. So good time. Talk about that for a quick second. You got 2 things running with anytime you have sentencing. Right? So you have the process with like a jury, or you would see. We'll talk about from jury perspective, because that'll probably be the first one you probably get some experience there, unless you go directly into it. Okay. Conviction, next stage. Okay. Now what's going to happen is the same process that happened before. Prosecution is going to present a case. Defense will get to come up afterwards, present its case. You'll take that information, you'll go back into deliberations. You'll have that range for what that type of punishment is associated with whatever crime you're dealing with. You'll talk it out, you'll come to a conclusion. Right? This is where everything that wasn't allowed to affect the decision as to whether or not they're guilty comes in. That's going to be your criminal history. That's the big, right? If you're dealing with a strong arm robbery and this person's got a serial history of that, you find that out before you find that person's guilty. How much is that decision based off of that knowledge of what that person has done, not whether or not they did this, right? Here we can consider that. Here it's, well, yeah, you did this. You also did all this other stuff. Let's take that into account and really punish it. Let's see. So once you get past that, you get your sentence. Depending on what crime it is, it may have parole, right? A timeline for parole. That's your window for the earliest they can let you out. Usually that's gonna be things like, okay, did you make the improvements you needed to? Are there other factors involved? How crowded is this prison? Right? Those types of things. You hit that window, what'll happen is a board will meet and they will decide whether or not to grant you parole. You'll get to talk, but you won't be the only one who gets to talk, depending on how that works. You might have victims come in, make statements, that kind of stuff too. To get to that point, that's where good time comes in. Okay, you were good today. I didn't have anything I need to punish you for today. Okay, today counts as 2 days. I just cut your time in half, right? That 7-year sentence that you had where parole was eligible in 5 is now 2.5. Yeah, there's a lot of shady math, I guess would be the way to look at it. Not really shady because everyone knows it's the process. It's just very involved. There's many steps to it. All of them can work together in either a really good or bad way. If you want to say good or bad, you know, I can work all these things to get parole, get this person out of prison really, really quickly. Maybe that's a good thing for that person needs to get out and they're going to do good things. Or I can really work this system against somebody to keep them in there. Yeah, as long as I can. What else do I want to tell you about that? That's pardons, that kind of pardon. I did talk about that. Governor or president? Governor for state, president for the country. That'd be a federal and state systems. That's who can pardon what. Always watch to see who pardons who for what. Okay. Moving lightning faster. Okay, we've already talked about those. Aggravated mitigating circumstances, same thing. Federal sentencing guideline, that's where they start looking into that optional code. Okay. I actually didn't make this available in the report. It mentions that in the slideshow. If you want that, let me know. I should have all of these somewhere. These are a bunch of cases related to sentencing guidelines. Yeah, these are some of the most notable ones. Sentencing guidelines abuse, waive controlled discretion without abolishing, correcting disparities. There's gonna be a lot of issues there. I'll give you a good example of one. Okay. Let's say I live in an area that is 90% race 1, police department's 90% race 2, and actually, I won't even say that. We'll say it's 50-50. We'll say it's 50-50 is the area. Police department is, we'll say it's 50-50 balanced, right? When we look at this officer or this police department, we see, say, police department. 90% of all of your citations are black. There's some disparities here, right? Is that justification enough to have your case thrown out? No. What is? Showing that that statistic relates to you, like actually showing where some type of issue where there was a disparity came in directly affected you. In fact, the numbers do it doesn't mean that it directly affected you. That's just like one example. There's a whole bunch of stuff like that. Disparities are everywhere. People get different punishments for different things. I said, yeah, we'll go with this one because there's one I saw in local ones. Coaches getting hit up for, what was it? There was something in the news that was related to coaches and it was fighting. That's what it was, right? They're putting on these fight things, right? I've got 2 coaches, 2 different places, 2 different states. What kind of punishment are they going to get? Is this coach, is he going to get, you know, aside from the job and the social sphere, is this person actually going to face a trial for this? Yes or no? Maybe, maybe not. Is the coach liked? Right? Because sometimes that's what you're measuring. That kind of thing. So you'll have disparities there. They'll move all over the place. You can see clear things that are quite identifiable. It's like that's not justice in both directions, positive and negative. Okay. When we start talking about reforms and policies, some of the big ones. That 3 strikes and you're out was a bad one in the 90s. You've heard of that. Yes, I don't need to go into detail about that. You get hit 3 things. That 3rd one, even if it's little, life sentence. It can be a felony. When we look at the classifications there between misdemeanors and felonies, some of those things. Is that really a felony? Is a burglary a felony? Depending on the state, the time frame, right? It's nighttime. I have it coded as a felony. Okay, is a burglary? No, it's not really. It's not the same thing. But you're still here. You'd still be here. That's why you hear those high profile cases where so-and-so got caught with, maybe a small amount of drugs in California, and now they got a life sentence. And maybe so-and-so is actually getting pressed because the governor or whoever is giving them a pardon, kind of thing. You'll see that around. Truth in sentencing is 85%, almost universally across the board. That's where certain crimes, that whole parole thing, we don't work that angle, right? You're gonna serve at least 85% of your sentence before parole even becomes an option. That's considering, that timeline for parole and good time, all of that stuff. You need to make sure you do the 85% first. Those will be your violent crimes. One second, talk about that one, then you don't remember. Might be in your place. It is. No, that's sentencing in 1984. Okay, there's where it starts talking about minimum sentences, that kind of thing. Okay, capital punishment. Furman and Gregg, one of those put a moratorium on the death penalty. If you watch like the number of executions over time, you'll see it's kind of level. It drops out in the 70s, picks back up towards the end of the 70s, the 80s. That's because of those two cases. Originally, when we talk about death, rape, you could get the death penalty for that. Like that's not proportional. I think that's Furman. That's the case that dealt with that. Maybe it could have been, right? Whichever one of those came first dealt with that. Basically that is not proportional. So no, it wasn't until later that they came back and said, no, the death penalty is something that could be used for this. Right, so that's where it picks up. Execution of the mentally challenged. Yeah, we shouldn't do that, do we? Sometimes. Cases about it, of course. Okay, right. Trial by jury, equal protection, proportionality. Yeah. Equal protection does not mean that you'll be treated identically. Sort of like your access to a trial does not mean that you'll get the accurate results. The accurate results are never guaranteed. All that they'll guarantee you is that it'll be at least as free from errors as much as we can. Right? Okay, cruel and unusual punishment, execution of juveniles. Yes, I thought cruel for juveniles. Yes, you can't do that. Methods of execution, that's worth the good stuff. So now that we're talking about that, how do we kill people again?
Injection.
Okay. Injection. Okay, what else?
Gas.
Yeah.
What is it?
Anything else?
Thingy?
Yeah, used to hanging. Anything else?
I don't know if we did in America, but the guillotine.
Yeah, the old good old beheading. Beheading's always a fun one. Beheading. That one's always fun because the head lives.
Yeah.
Yeah. How long does the head live?
Like 10 seconds?
How long can you hold your breath? Long time, right? Right. Now imagine the blood that's in you no longer has to pump to the rest of your body. And all you're doing is just holding your breath till you go unconscious. It's a long time, right? There's a case where someone was going up the guillotine. The person was like, blink until you can't anymore. And it was a long time they blinked, right? Or my favorite one was historical, can't remember what it was. They picked the person up, they showed off their face, and then smacked them across the face because they fucking hated them, right? That person's face blushed and they saw them start looking pissed off at them, right? It's just fucking head. Disturbing, really disturbing stuff. This whole topic is disturbing. So if it does get to our body, like go ahead, there you go. Same thing for online. It's like, you need to pop out, you go right ahead. Here, these are all different ways that we do it. This one, not so much. This one we don't do so much anymore. always a good reference for this, because a lot of the books will, I don't want to put it that way. They'll say negative things of this country being a Western country that still engages in this practice. Yes, you've seen that, okay? How long ago was it that there were other countries that were doing this, not just doing this, but making a show out of it? Yeah, you're talking 1979, it was it England? Their last public execution was then, that's the same year that Star Wars started, right? It came out in theaters. It's not that long ago. That's, hey, we're gonna go hang this person. Everybody come out from your houses, go stand on the street and watch this person dies. Sold popcorn and stuff. That's how long ago that was. We changed really, really fast, guys. That's something to appreciate. Here. These are the big ones we still use. You have even had this conversation before, but I'll go a little bit faster. Out of these, which one's the best one to go with?
The one with the firing squad,
I say firing
Yeah, it's
squad.
actually this one. Right here. This is the,
the injection can be like mistreated, yeah.
yeah, my
It's scary
favorite,
to think about.
yeah, my favorite topic is when things go sideways, 'cause things,
Shot.
yeah, well, things frequently do go sideways. This is the only one that's got a 0% failure rate. Literally 0%. Downside is, yeah, you got multiple people there and only one person's actually killing them. The person who does it will know, right? They'll know. Here, it's like, what are we getting? How many drugs and what does it look like? The 3-drug combination was, if I remember correctly, was developed by someone who wasn't a medical doctor. Maybe they had a medical degree, I think. If I remember correctly, I think they were a coroner, medical examiner, something of that nature. But you're not required to be a doctor to do those types of jobs. The 3 drugs, basically what they did was one made you look sleepy. One paralyzes you and one stops your heart. Like, and when we get really down to it, you got someone who's picking out drugs, doesn't have a medical degree. That's not good to begin with. What does it actually do? There's some questions there. How many of you have ever been anesthetized? I said that correctly, anesthetized. Have you had anesthesia? A couple of you? Okay, good, good. Before you went in, hopefully this didn't happen to you. What was my biggest fear is I read horror stories about things. So I like when things go sideways. That's kind of what I'm doing right here too. You ever hear stories about people who are awake and feel everything but are completely paralyzed? Yeah, right? Now imagine that, but with this at the end. You're never gonna find out whether they're awake at all. It's like, that's horrible, okay? People who, when it does mess up what they tell you, usually they start screaming out in pain about their arms or wherever it was you were injecting the drugs, right? Oh, it hurts so bad, it hurts so bad. Yeah, and you let the pressure off, and as soon as the drugs release, what happens? Gone, right? No, we don't know how much they suffer. Ideally, they don't. But yeah, who knows? That doesn't sound like much fun. Gas. This one's been a long time since we've done that one. I'm trying to remember.
It didn't happen for very long.
Yeah.
It was because it was
Yeah, gas is a really bad way to go. In terms of optimally horrible ways to die, being burned to death is probably one of the worst because what it does to you, right? This one's not far off, right? The first chemical used in warfare, chemical weapons, mustard gas, whatever it is, same kind of thing. Goes into your lungs, kind of thing, starts killing you there. Much nastier, but still, you're breathing it in. This one, electricity. How does that one work? Mm-hmm. No,
Because you can withstand a lot.
yeah. It's like this one, you're in a room, they drop in substance, it releases gas, you die. This one, you line up, 3 people, however many people there, they fire at you, you die. This one, they strap you down, they inject you some stuff, you die. Here, they strap you down and they run electricity through you 3 times. Yeah, well, the first one is like they're trying to do it humanely, right? So if we're gonna go humane, we're gonna keep it as low as possible, whatever it will take to actually stop the heart. I want to say, I've heard this as a statistic. I have no idea if it's true or not. I would kind of not believe it. But they say that 110. There. Close enough to people that when you start getting electrocuted with it, sometimes people can't let go because it'll seize their muscles up and then their heart will stop and then they die, right? So it doesn't take a whole lot to kill somebody. So they'll do that first wave. Second wave, they'll increase it. Third one, they really spike it. That's when they want to make sure you're dead. So what happens when it goes sideways? Let's talk about that.
Don't they just keep doing it?
Well, to a certain degree, that's what those waves are for. But if they mess it up real bad, they'll stop, like the lethal injection thing. Those drugs go in your arm, you're still alive. After a while, they'll pull you off the board, right? Some people continue living. Most usually, as soon as you get that pressure off, usually it's either bad IV. If it's bad IV, what you're gonna end up getting is that drug's in the arm. That arm's gonna hurt like hell, but it's not in the vein, so it's not gonna go where it needs to go to kill. If it's in the vein, it's just like a pressure thing. When you release everything, you strap the person down too hard, let it go, it'll release. And you just wait a little bit, drop it out. Electricity, though, what it does is, you guys ever watch Sin City? Movie Sin City? Jesus. What? Do you guys watch movies? Okay. YouTube. I did this earlier with my intro class because it's like I started mentioning movies and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, movies you should watch. This one's not a really good one for much other than what I'm going to use it for right now. Yeah, no, didn't realize that never popped up. Showing. Sin City Marv electric chair. Okay, this might have some bad language in it. I have not previewed this, but I think it's appropriate. We'll see. Danger Will Robinson is their sound. Okay, there is some. This bar here. Make this bigger. Play.
That's back in this.
Here we go.
They fixed me a pretty decent steak for my They even throw in a broom. The first I've had back in Nancy. Then they shaved my head, fixed me with a puppy back. Do it. It's about a damn time if you ask me.
You know why I want. The valley of the shadow of
If you get a move on, I haven't got it. It is.
That'll do it. What do you guys think about that? Yeah, you get a last meal, you get all that kind of stuff. They shot him twice. Why did they depict it that way? They might be basing it off of a real story. Boom, make this guy bigger. Here's where the violent stuff gets in. This is Alan Lee Davis, also known as Tiny. Okay. Get that nice and big. You can look at that right there. You can see his images here. So what they actually do is a little bit different. I'm gonna just put a thing over your head. You have the whole black hood, but underneath that black hood, they actually have a leather strap that covers your mouth so they don't have to hear you screaming. Yeah, it's that rough. Okay. This guy, you notice the blood there. This one's that's why this one's disturbing. First wave went through, he was still alive. Second wave went through, they think it killed him. Third wave, definitely he was dead by that one. By the third one had gone through, they finished with that, they noticed that blood dripping out onto his shirt. Ah, what's going on here? You lift up the hood, his face is purple. Apparently whoever strapped this on must have really liked him because they got his nose too. They broke his nose, right? So now you're strapped to a chair, they're coursing a whole bunch of electricity through you, and now your nose is partially obstructed and you're bleeding into it. Bleeding into it enough, your face turns purple, and when I let the pressure off when you're dead, blood runs out of your mouth and your face is no longer purple. It's like, oh God, this is a really horrible way to die. We don't know what killed him, right? It's toss up. You have to go to a medical examiner and they'll make that ultimate determination. Basically what it is they'll start doing the math. Is it 51-49? Is it 70-30? Which one of these things do I think really did it? Right? 3 waves. This is how he dies. That's kind of hard to look at. So you look at what he did, right? When you look at what he did, okay. Big guy, which is why it's called tiny. I think I'll give you a little bit of details here. His weight of 350 pounds contributed to his execution problems, right? Here's what he did. He murdered Nancy Wiley, executive wife who carried 3 months pregnant. She was killed in 1982, beaten beyond recognition, 357, 25 times the face and head. 9-year-old daughter was tied and shot twice in the face. 5-year-old daughter was shot as she was trying to run away, and then her skull was crushed with the gun. Okay, I am completely okay with how this guy died. How about you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Hopefully he's the right guy, right? Hopefully he is. Odds are pretty good. Not 100% though. That's this whole issue when we start talking about purposes and things like that. That's that retribution one. That's it to a T. You start looking at this stuff. We start seeing is the errors. Early on, I point out the errors in the. If we want to get guilty people, keep innocent people out. The errors underneath are really what we're driving with, right? Same thing with this one. It's a different. All right, next do cruel and unusual punishment, life without parole execution. Talk about that. We already talked about the sentencing stuff. In terms of this, why this is in here, there is an argument to be made that things like registration, secondary punishment, is it? There's that argument's been made. So like you're dealing with pedophiles, sex offenders, yeah, you have the all of the different maps that exist for that kind of stuff where you can chart out where those people are at. You have to go in and register if you change your address, you have to do it next number of days. You don't do that, that's its own violation. You've broken the law, go back to jail, right? Is that its own set of punishments that go over the top? Is that cruel and unusual, or is it public safety? It's like there is a debate there to how much you require of those people and where that really falls. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say with that. Had that, and then it's on Adam Walsh, that would be the same thing you're dealing with there. It's like, yeah, is it a secondary punishment? No, it's just, it is something additional, feels a danger associated with that group. All right. I want to share anything. I want to do this. All right. Any questions? Anything you guys want to talk about? No. Okay. Well, I'm going to do this. Of course, it gets all of them. I guess I'll just be able to see you guys on this computer because now we need to do a review. Right? If we start the review, we don't necessarily have to come in again. Yes? Okay. So, you guys want to start a review? Or do you want to call it quits, take your chances? Okay, we'll do a review then. Well, you guys are on the show. That's a good idea. Okay, so this is crim law. Okay. BC versus Heller. What did it have to do with? Okay, BC versus a Heller, handguns. I mean, there's a lot of chapters in here because we only did 2 tabs. This. Boom, boom, boom. Oh. So DC versus Heller, that's the one who goes firearms. You're personally owning them, they're in your home kind of thing. Do you have that ability to own them individually? there's a lot at play there, so, yeah, that's probably the most important thing. Riot, rout, and an unlawful assembly. What are each of those? Okay. I said disorderly conduct. What's another phrase that's on, used interchangeably with disorderly conduct? Breach of the peace. Oh, I like that. Now, okay, pandering. What is pandering?
Catering.
Close. I like where you think, because you think in common use. In terms of criminal statutes, pandering ain't easy. I've got a generational thing. I was curious to see if anybody would pick up on that.
Fencing.
Yeah, it's pending. That was from my generation. When I was you guys. That was a phrase that people would say a lot. I feel really old now. I'm getting there. Yeah. All right. 2003, the Protect Act. What is it?
Was it the child?
Yeah, that's the child protection one. That's pornography and kidnapping and a whole bunch of stuff. Ooh. Okay, there's a whole bunch of crimes related to I should say, not necessarily called sex crimes, but things that are criminalized related to that you wouldn't expect. Yeah, two unmarried people of opposite genders, sexes. Sometimes this wouldn't work. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, that's literally been criminalized. They've literally criminalized it. Like, yeah. Crazy. All right. What? Oh, I talked about this. Miller versus California. That has to do with what when you're determining whether or not something's obscene. How do you determine that? If you want the case, its name, and the fact that that's something that really more qualitative than it is quantitative. You can't really put factors in it and say to this degree. Common law bribery only applied to, yeah, those taking bribes, not those offering. Yeah. Only crime in the Constitution. You guys know that one. Yeah. No perjury. The intent element of bribery. What is that intent element? For the person who's offering the bribe. Yeah, close. You're getting there. Basically, you're trying to affect that person's decisions with that bribe. That's the kind of thing that they're trying to get at is, it's not that you're giving this person something or that they make this decisions. You're giving it directly to affect that decision. Right. Perjury versus false swearing. Yeah, you guys know what the Patriot Act is. You know where perjury can take place. Okay, actual versus constructive possession. A state of chronic or periodic intoxication detrimental to the individual and to society produced by the repeated consumption of drug, natural or synthetic, is drug abuse. You should know that. Prohibition, the amendments associated with that. ILO versus the United States. That one popped in there. I can't remember if we talked about that one or not. That has to do with privacy. That's using technology to determine what's going on inside of a house. That comes up in procedures. I don't remember when it came up in here. It's drug trafficking. That's why. From a policing perspective, if you're trying to address drug trafficking, the home is the most protected thing. Never cross into somebody's home unless you are 100% certain you have the justifications for it. The ILO, what they were doing was that was the heater, the temperature gauge. They're reading the outside of houses. This one's running hot. Yeah, you can't do that. You're trying to figure out what's going on inside the house without any justification for using technology to reach inside that house. That kind of thing. Paraphernalia, you know what that is. Is a drug test a search and seizure? Yes. Ooh, I should talk about that in a minute. Ask me about crazy things. Here in a minute. Most frequently used illicit drug. Yeah. Okay. Truth in sentencing is 85%. Laws, like that. This one should talk about Rita versus United States. Question here it asks about it is has to do with sentencing guidelines and the presumption of reasonableness, right? So anytime you see timeframes associated with anything, if governmental actions occur within that posted time frame, they are presumptively reasonable, meaning you would have to make a case for why you need an answer or resolution faster, right? This case had to do with, okay, you were guilty of this crime. I'm going to sentence you to, say it's 5 to 10 years. I'm going to sentence you to 7.5 years. Okay, someone appealed that, said it was unreasonable, wanted to question that, did not have a strong enough argument for it though. So when their argument failed, they came to the conclusion that, hey, if it's within this time frame, it is presumed reasonable. If it's outside of it, that's where the government would have to make the case it still should be reasonable. Same thing like if you get arrested, you got the, so many hours before you need to be in front of a judge kind of thing. They'll do it within that time frame, no problem. If it takes longer, could be a lawsuit, could just mean that they just need to make a case for why it should take a little bit longer. Okay. And that covers that. The rest of it you should be able to get pretty easy. From there, crazy things we need to talk about. What was the thing I mentioned a minute ago when I said crazy things? There's a lot of crazy things. I was looking at, there was some question here that had an odd rule. I'll tell you some stuff.
How did you drive test and social season?
Yeah. It's like, is that a search and seizure? Am I taking something? Yes, you're taking something. You're taking the urine, blood, that kind of thing. From there. Yeah, so this will be a nice calculus. Okay. This class, it's not my second time teaching this class here, but I haven't been teaching it regularly in a long time. So, a little out of practice. A lot more content in this than what we have in the semester to actually cover. So you got some, particularly here at the end, getting Cliff Notes versions of stuff. If any of these topics are more interesting to you, or you want to know more, let me know. I can tell you more, I can show you more, I can tell you where to find more. This system is essential for everything that we do. And in terms of key moments, probably my favorite lesson in this class has to do with the elements of law. You're dealing with act, intent, and then basically everything that follows. You line up your actions and your intents, you move forward from there, and work out really, really good, or really, really bad if you're dealing with the crime side of things, right? Very important facet of life. We had to work it into the system. We didn't probably go out with that particular purpose. It's just something that developed naturally. Very, very, very important information to understand, kind of underneath it all. In that system, you can see stuff that's as interesting, abstract. I don't know a better word than that. It's substantive. At the same time, you get some really, really weird stuff too. Oh, let me ask you a question. Wasn't birds. This one. It's a yes or no question. Okay. Even those online. I need a yes or a no from everyone. Okay, are birds fish? Yes. Anybody online? No, no? Okay. Birds fish? No. Over here. Do this, where's my mouse? Right here. Okay. Also come over here and say, share screen, screen one, yes. We'll say, are birds fish in California? Oh, it's bees. That's what it was, it's not.
I knew that one.
There we go. Not birds, it's bees. That's what I messed up. I messed that one up. It's bees. Bees are fish. It was birds of the bees, because it makes a whole lot of sense. I'd be thinking birds and bees, but none of this stuff makes any sense. It's bees. Yeah, that's bees. Sorry. Bees. Birds? No, but bees, yes. The hell is that?
There was a Google response that says birds were fish, so. I don't
Yeah.
know.
It might be the same way there, where what it is the classification status they gave things, they originally started here. And then rather than going back and fixing it, well, we're just gonna run with that and we're gonna reclassify things that don't make any damn sense. Right? Playing with your definitions. This system, every word you use has meaning. It's a very, very specific meaning, but if I can fudge with it enough, maybe I can get you to make a different decision. Right? This lesson is the same one you get over in methods when I start talking conceptual definitions, right? I am now no longer going to classify these things as X, as are now Y, right? Or, ooh, I'm commissioning here. Social things, they have the videos, like, what is a woman? It's like, some people can't define that. It's like, yeah, what it is people have done this stuff so much, I don't know what to tell you, what you want to hear, right? That's what's going on there. Keep that in mind. And with that, I think that's enough for today. You guys have a good semester? You're going to learn some stuff. Right. Okay, good. That makes me happy. If you want to learn more, let me know. Anything else? The exam is open. I think it's open right now. It closes on Friday next week. Have fun. It shouldn't be too difficult. Yes, it is open. So we're on the home stretch for this one, guys. Good luck. Godspeed. I'll see you in January. If you need anything else soon, send me an email or otherwise find me. Yeah, a great one.
Is that that exam is the final?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it. Yeah. Okay. We're in the home stretch. Probably should have popped out another assignment or two. Anybody wants that? Well, I probably sent out announcements. Anybody's in need of extra credit, wants to do work, let me know.
I did really bad on the first exam.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what
What's-
happened.
There's.
I did forget to take it, didn't take it a week later after review. So that's honestly my own fault. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, here's my view of tests. Particularly in this class, we don't have very many, so it's really hard to say that this is your grade
Yeah.
kind of thing. So I wouldn't worry about too much. I'll end up curving those, and I'm sure that there's gonna be a little bit of a curve on both of them. The big thing is really, for most people, what I would love to be able to do is focus on people's writing. Because that's a good starting point for most people, since that's gonna be the assignments kind of stuff. And so I haven't looked at it recently, but if it's something that's worrying you, send me an email about extra credit, and what we'll do is I'll end up posting out for everybody. Okay, here's what you do. Send me an email, let me know the topic that you're interested in. I'll probably set some constraints to it. And then I'll have you start writing a little bit on that, see if that's something you want to develop. Cool. All right. Well, have fun, and I will see you later. Bye. And bye, everyone online. And Cortez, if you're still there, never mind, he hung up. Okay.